Welcome everybody. My name is Massimo Bombino. Maybe you already know me. And I started this masterclass of non-programming, as I called it, because I want to teach in this masterclass some best practices, some lesson learned from my more than 30 years of experience in embedded programming. Today, I'm going to interview, thanks to Anna Chiara also, Professor Bagnara Roberto from Parma. He's the CTO of BUGSENG and Professor of Computer Science in Parma. He wrote more than 40 papers in international journals and conference proceedings, etc., regarding programming languages, static analysis, and similar topics. He started working in University of Bologna and at CERN, studying particle physics in Switzerland. And he's also a member of the MISRA-C working group, the International Standardization Working Group for the C programming language. And he was also one of the professors in my masterclass, together with the other 3 people that will be interviewed also. And so today we are going to ask some questions about the recent masterclass and the next international masterclass, and in general about programming and about our industry. So Anna Chiara Cesari will introduce Roberto, and also she will start asking the questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Max. Hi, Roberto. I'm Anna Chiara. I've been working for Safer Software for about 1 year. We talk about static analysis with Roberto Bagnara, especially considering the critical international moment due to the global pandemic virus. Good morning, Roberto. It's a pleasure to be able to interview. How are you? And let's start this interview together.
Okay, good morning. I'm waiting for your questions.
Okay, I'd like to some questions for our audience composed by Italian and international companies struggling to competitive nowadays. First question, tell me about experience in critical software.
Okay, so my experience in critical software is quite, it started in 1984 when I was just 21, and my story is rather peculiar because I didn't enroll into university immediately after I ended college. So I did my military service, and the day after the military service, I started working as a technician at the University of Bologna at the Department of Medical Physics. At that time, we were involved in several projects involving data acquisition system and analysis of signals and images, and some of them could be considered critical software. So in one project we were involved together with the Sant'Orsola Hospital of Bologna into data acquisition to be used in the context of earth surgery. So it was a device which had, if I remember correctly, 64 input channels, and there was a Zilog Z8000 for processing them. So I think that this was moderately critical. I mean, it was just, of course, a prototype, so the idea was that it would have become critical in the sense that even though it was just sensing data from the patient, it was critical in the sense that it could have led the team to draw the wrong conclusion from the signals that were perceived. And after this experience in Bologna, I went to Geneva at CERN, and in around, I think it was 87, I was working at some moderately critical software for the remote diagnosis of the experiment apparata. So In these experiments, you could have apparata for data acquisition from experiments that could be tens or even 100 meters below the ground, and they would be sparse in a rather wide area, and you would need to diagnose when there was a problem. And of course, this is not critical in the sense of safety critical, but I mean the operating cost of an accelerator are enormous. So if your experiment stops because it takes to you too much time to diagnose a fault in some electronic equipment, this is clearly a loss. Mission critical, exactly, yes. And then when I was at CERN, I decided that I needed a formal education. So I was already 25 when I enrolled at university, and then I was not involved in critical software. I was just a teacher and a researcher, and I mean I was not involved in critical software directly. My research has always been on verification techniques to be applied to critical software, but I've started looking directly at critical software again in 2010 when we founded the BUGSENG company, which is a spin-off of the University of Parma. And there, in being in contact with customers that are working on critical software for consultancy, for other reasons, I was exposed to a significant amount of critical software, even very critical software. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I was born in Bologna, and I know very well Sant'Orsola Hospital, and I think that it's the most important hospital in Italy, and fantastic. Okay, second question. What are the hardest challenges for companies operating in actual market and times?
I think that in this moment, the hardest challenges have to do with time pressure and lack of resources. This I observe this very, very often. So the teams are working on tight schedules, and often they do not have enough resources. And the risk is, of course, that the things that are cut have to do with safety and security, because the project tend to run late, and so the danger is really this one. And it is in this sense that initiatives like the masterclass are very important, because in many cases I observe that the resources are scarce, but what is missing is training in several cases. So having the personnel which is properly trained is such a time saver. So it's really one thing that can help a lot, and I observe this very much.
Thank you. Max, what is the current situation in Italy?
In Italy, the situation is quite challenging because apart the problem with the COVID pandemic, but also there is a tendency that maybe we will discuss with Roberto also in one of the next questions, that many companies are transitioning from an electromechanic company to a company doing software, and this is a cultural transition. So in this moment, I totally agree with Roberto that we need culture, we need training, we need to improve our experience, and it's maybe you don't have the time to improve your experience. So having good teachers, having good courses is very important. That's why I started this masterclass, to provide the state-of-the-art of embedded software and firmware to everybody now in Italy, but in a few weeks we will start an international version of this masterclass. So those arguments will be available to everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, Max. About electromechanical, Roberto, do you see the transition from still to bit from electromechanical companies excelling in their domains until yesterday, but today painfully transitioning to embedded software companies without any appropriate background and culture?
Yes, yes, I see this very much. There are several companies that match what you have just said. So, and a few things, in my opinion, are remarkable. So, by being in touch with these companies, I have observed different kinds of phenomena. So, let's start from the negative phenomenon. The negative phenomenon, there is someone, a minority in this company that has been working in electromechanical devices, and they feel they cannot make it. It's like this on every transition. So no, even I mean it will. Things are evolving always, and also because of the age of people, at some stage we have to let the young continue. So this is a very minority of cases. In general, what I observed is that this company have very remarkable people. So people coming from an electromechanical background, the vast majority is very, very smart. This is something that really was particularly evident to me. And in some cases, they are extremely well-intentioned, and they know what they don't know, and they are very willing to learn. Very, very willing to learn. In these cases, I prefer this kind of person to a person who maybe has studied some computer science, but at a very superficial level. So in this case, younger people might think they know, whereas they don't know very much. So in this case, it's very remarkable, and the transition is important. And in fact, as a company, we are doing something about this in BUGSENG. So I am working with Michael Barr, which is quite famous in the embedded systems world. And we are pushing the BARC coding standard very much. And I will also give a presentation at Embedded World in a few days, where I compare, together with Michael Barr and Patricia Hill, who is a colleague in BUGSENG, we make a comparison between BARC and MISRA-C. And we find that BARC is a very good coding standard to transition, to make the transition, because it's simpler than MISRA-C, it is compatible with MISRA-C, and for people that are not yet working on safety critical or mission critical software, but there is some criticality in the software, or the complete criticality has not yet been assessed. So BARC is a good starting point. And I am witnessing some very good results about this transition, because in this company really there is people that wants to learn, that they realize, they know the complexity and they understand what they don't know. So, and this is quite positive, and this is what makes me optimistic.
The problem is, in my opinion, not only at the technical level, but is also a big problem at management level and entrepreneurial level, because talking with the similar profile like mine in those companies, they say, okay, I know software, I know embedded software, yes, I can learn more with your masterclass. The problem is that, for example, my purchasing office don't understand the new needs of software. They don't understand how to select a good customer or a good supplier. So they don't know a lot of things. It's a cultural problem, but it's not only technical training. It's also different strategy
Yes.
at management level and entrepreneurial level. It's something new.
Yes.
Because they think that the software could solve anything because it's so soft, so you can change it like you want. But it's also something new, so it's something to blame because it's new. We did for 30 years, 50 years very well, and now it's 2 years that is a mess. And why? Because of software, because of people. So it's a big problem to make this transition.
I agree with you. On the one hand, I often find high level management not as say proactive as people in the technical levels or middle management levels. On the other hand, I see several medium to high level managers being subjected to really too much pressure. So I don't know what is the solution, but some of them should have the possibility of sitting back, considering the consequences of damages produced by their devices, and given the time to properly plan in order to minimize the probability that the bad thing happens.
Okay, perfect. You are agreed. Cool. Roberto, how could the static analysis or could not help companies to deliver better embedded products?
Oh, it is a crucial help. Of course, in a software development process which is compliant to functional safety standards is just one part of the whole, but the advantages of static analysis is enormous. So the first thing is that it is, for example, one way that I like very much of describing MISRA-C, and when you use MISRA-C with a good tool, it's like having a guided peer review by the static analysis. So in an ordinary peer review, you would sit with your colleagues in front of one big screen, and you would be pointing your finger to sections of code that are suspicious, that don't look right, or they may cause problems. With static analysis and a good coding standard like MISRA-C and to a lesser extent BAR-C, you can have this in your laptop, so that you would have someone pointing your attention to the portions of code that require your attention. So is this intentional? Okay, did you really mean to write this program this way? And so this is very important also because when you have followed the discipline of following a coding standard like MISRA-C, then the code readability is highly increased. And so even the productivity of the ordinary peer review is maximized. So the advantages of static analysis, there are many other advantages. So the main one is that you tend to discover the problem very early in the development process. So in some cases, even at the initial stages, you can find problems in your code, and when it is cheap to fix them. So of course, if you discover the problems at the end, so when you do validation or the final verification, it will be very expensive to fix them, let alone if the product is already being manufactured or sold. So the cost is orders of magnitude higher. Whereas in static analysis, you can discover lots of problems very, very early, and by simply pushing a button. So it's a good static analyzer will not require much more from you than pushing a button and running the analysis. So the advantage is clear. So in fact, the return of investment of a good static analyzer is enormous. So it's really, I mean, it's and the more critical is the market sector in which you operate, the more the return of investment is huge.
And also, it's crucial to start as soon as possible to do static analysis, not only to catch the bugs, but also to adapt to MISA guidelines and to evolve your coding style. And so you, next time, after 2 or 3 times that you do static analysis, you learn what is good, what is not, and you avoid, since the beginning, to make some mistakes. Instead, many times I saw static analysis at the end of the coding phase, so with an enormous amount of
reworking,
to work, etc., of violations, etc., and it was nonsense because it took a lot of time to fix all these problems, but also nothing changed in the coding style of the programmers because they didn't know before, and they don't know actually if the static analysis is just used at the end. It should be used every time you compile. In theory, it will be a very good practice to use it every time you compile, every time you create a new code. So you are sure to, when you do a check-in of the code, when you store the code on the version control, etc., you have the green light that everything is okay from the static analysis point of view.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. Roberto, could you explain the importance of security in the actual interconnected world, in particular regarding IoT?
Well, security is, of course, a big theme now, especially when combined with the expression IoT. And the reason is IoT, it's, well, so let me put it gently. So many devices that are now in our homes, I suspect, have not been manufactured with security well in mind. So we have things starting from lamps. I have a couple of lamps that in the house that my daughters like very much. They control them. They control the color and the intensity of the light with their mobile phone and other things. And the specialized news is full of reports about devices that are exposed to attacks. Okay, of course, it's one might think that a light bulb is not very critical. What might go wrong? The light cannot be switched on, so because the system has crashed. It's not just this. There have been a light bulb can react to my voice. So the vibration I induce in the air in my voice are acting on the light bulb, and the light bulb is connected to the internet. So the light bulb can be used to spy on me. Okay, the light bulb without a microphone, but it's technically possible. There have been experiments of capturing the voice of people using a light bulb. Okay, so it's really now and the Internet of Things devices are they are being manufactured at an explosive level. They are entering every house, and I think that part of the industry still has not realized that many of these devices are critical from the security point of view, for example, because, as I said, they can be used to spy people.
Do you know Shodan? Do you know what is
no?
Shodan? It's a search engine to find IoT devices on a geographical base with the security holes. So you can point to your house or the house of a person you want to spy, and it will tell you the list of devices, any kind of IoT devices, with the standard password, with no password, with the custom, with the default configuration, etc. So you can just point to a geographical location and look to any webcam, to any device, etc. that is open, simply open, or with the default configuration. And so you can spy everywhere in the world, because they forgot to add additional security by changing the password, etc. And it's a way to do exploiting of IoT devices for everybody. It's just a search engine. Just Google. You can try around
and also
maybe your is also the list. I don't think so. I think you are smarter enough to change your password of your router.
And there are also aspects of safety. So I was reading the news the other days, and then an investigation was just concluded about an incident that is from 2019 concerning a drone, a large one. So I think that the weight was 95 kilograms. But even a small drone, now I think that your mailbox is full of offers of new drones like mine. So drones are manufactured by everybody. So even a small drone, a drone weighing, I don't know, less than a kilogram, okay? If it falls from the height of 100 meters onto your head, it can kill you, okay? And these devices, as far as I know, and even this was in the news the other day, the 95 kilograms drone was not manufactured according to any functional safety standard. So 95 kilograms. So there is a problem. There is a problem, and so I think that it is. I can easily foresee that an increasing number of companies will need to evolve towards stricter standards for the development of their products. So, and yeah.
Of course, we had an expert, Niroshan Rajaturai, talking about security in our masterclass. He did a lesson on this argument. So I recommend to everybody interested in this topic to ask for the entire masterclass, or just for this lesson, because you can also purchase just a single lesson on a dedicated argument.
Okay, perfect. About masterclass, let's talk a few words about the masterclass could help those companies to face the challenges of the embedded software development in the actual situation, to deliver better, to have more stable products.
I think it is a very laudable initiative. So I said before that the return of investment of a static analysis tool is enormous, but the return of investment in investing in your people, in training your people to appreciate and apply the best practices for software development, this really is an enormous investment. So because these people changes. So this is the first year I taught a course, a lesson in this masterclass. In BUGSENG we offer courses on Misra C, and we witness this every time. We start with the objective of teaching Misra C, of course. And in doing so, we also expose some peculiarity of the C programming language. So, and basically in all editions of the course, we get compliments of people because they learn things about the programming language they didn't realize before. So at the end of the course, of this kind of courses, they become more aware of the risk and more able to face the challenges they have to face. So I think that training, and it's really essential for a company that wants to be to evolve toward the development of better, more reliable products and more prestigious for their brand. So it's very important when you are manufacturing devices that the people using them understands that they have been manufactured with a certain level of care. So this is not always obvious, okay? But in many cases, especially for small devices and the Internet of Things, the quality can be perceived also at the user level.
Sure, to become stronger, the brand. And Max, do you want to say something?
Yes, of course. What I want to tell is that this masterclass, many times I've been asked if this masterclass is for beginners or it's intermediate or it's advanced. The real question is this masterclass is about what not to do. So it's good for beginners because you can learn the language, C, C++, etc., and avoid some mistakes. But it's also very good for advanced programmers because it's the sum of more than 30 years experience of 5 people. So me, Roberto Bagnara, Vance Hilderman, Niroshan Rajadurai, and Maurizio Menegotto. We are expert in our domains. So Roberto in static analysis, Maurizio Menegotto in debugging and hardware debugging and emulation, Niroshan Rajadurai in real-time operating systems and in security, and Vance Hilderman is one of the best experts in the world about safety. So together we brought not only experience, but especially best practices, lessons learned, things to avoid, things to do first. That is very important for any kind of programmers, any kind of manager, because it helps also if you have already experience, because you had experience in one domain, maybe in one company or in a few companies. But since most of us work as consultants, we had the opportunity to visit a broad range of companies in many countries, working in several domains, in avionics, in medical, in industrial, etc. So the sum of the experience of 5 people is much more the final number in terms of experience is much more than the sum of 5 per 30 years. So I think it's very good just because of this, because we brought a very broad experience.
Fine. It was a pleasure. Thanks you, Roberto, and thank you, Max.
Thanks, Anna, for guiding this interview.
Thanks to you. It was a pleasure for me as well. So, talk to you soon.
And just to finish, there will be in a few weeks, about middle of 2021, the international edition of this masterclass. It will be held in English. So under this video, you will find the link and all the information about how to subscribe to the next edition. And also you can purchase the manual and the DVDs of the previous edition, the Italian edition, most in Italian, some part in English, because Vance and Niroshan, they were speaking in their native language. And the manual is up to 1,000 pages. This is because it's the full transcription of 40 hours of video. So every speaker has been transcribed to the manual together with the original slides. And of course, we provide the DVD. So you can purchase also the box is an info product with the manual and the DVDs of the current Italian edition. So you have the choice if you want to attend live to the next edition and ask questions, or you want to purchase the current edition. So thanks everybody for your time and for your opinions on these very interesting topics, and see you next time, Roberto and Anna Chiara, in the next edition.
Bye bye. Okay.
Thank you. Bye bye.